This group of 5 young women, all graduates of Catholic colleges, had never met before committing to share a house for a year as members of the Jesuit Volunteer Corps. The JVC program has one overriding goal: to ruin them for life.
Oh my gosh, when JVC, old motto is that we'll ruin you for life, boy was that true. Ruin in the sense that I was so not aware of my privilege and the bubble that I live in until it was literally not just popped but shook, and my eyes are open and I see now what the reality of this world for so many of my brothers and sisters.
Jillian DeFina spent her JVC year working at a food pantry run by a Catholic charity.
Yeah.
Those might be whole grain rolls. I see the presence of God in all of my clients so profoundly that it's I know that you're told that we all have Christ inside us, but I never actually saw it until I came here.
A strong Catholic faith is a bedrock for Jillian, who goes to Mass every day. Spirituality is one of the key values of the Jesuit Volunteer Corps, based on the teachings of St. Ignatius, but it's different for everyone.
I was very anti-religion. I guess I would have identified as spiritual, but not religious. I definitely believed that there was a higher being, but I wasn't necessarily comfortable calling that God.
Kat Guerrier was raised Catholic, but had turned away from the church before joining JVC to work with victims of domestic abuse. Living with Jillian helped to bring her back.
Something just clicked. I can't really explain why or how it happened. And every Sunday since that October, I've continuously gone to Mass, and I really just connect with religion in a completely different way, in a way that I never thought would be possible before.
Father Rick Malloy has been a spiritual advisor to Jesuit volunteers for 40 years.
Young people today come with many questions, many different styles and forms of being Christian, of being Catholic, of being spiritual. Some aren't even believers, or they're trying to figure out whether they believe.
That kind of focus in college up to now has been really a lot of Eastern philosophies and theologies, like Hinduism and Buddhism.
Bridget Barry, who was raised Catholic, served her volunteer year at Friends of the Poor, providing meals and clothing to people in need.
So call me if you have any questions, but we'll see him at 12 on the 25th. Thanks.
It is definitely countercultural in that we're habituated to, after college, be really asserting our own identities and asserting independence and accruing things, and this is the opposite in a lot of ways. I'm not making any progress. Tangible progress towards I think I'm becoming who I want to be.
In addition to spirituality and social justice, 2 other Ignatian values undergird the Jesuit Volunteer Corps: community and simplicity. Housing is provided, and there's a small budget for food, which often ends up being rice and beans. For Liz Connolly, living in community has been the biggest challenge.
Beautifully difficult. Wonderfully, joyously, really hard. Their loves in my life, you grow to love those people so deeply when you experience this with them, but community's hard. I think for me, having your life so dependent on another person has been the most difficult. Just as I'm a very independent person, I like to do what I want to do when I want to do it. And so having to be vulnerable enough to share, to make that work is challenging.
Most of the 300 JVC volunteers each year are women, serving in 37 cities in the United States and 6 countries abroad. In addition to free room and board, they get a small allowance to spend as they see fit.
When I first found out it was going to be 100, I was like, 100 a week, that's insane. And then I realized it was 100 a month. And then I just really couldn't believe that I signed up for JVC. But, it really isn't that bad. You really just figure out what you need and what you want.
Truly trusting God and trusting the path has been hard at some points, and I've had a lot of doubts that I made a wrong decision.
There we go.
Megan Newman has a nursing degree, but chose to volunteer with developmentally disabled adults before taking a full-time job.
I think spirituality has been my biggest value of this year, and I have learned so much about my faith. Within my work, God is so intricately intertwined. I don't think I could separate the two. My clients are pretty low functioning, and so I do a lot of their daily living for them.
I must have just waken up from a nap.
I think they've helped me see a lot of the ways in which our world is broken and can't see people like them as equals and as equally as divine as we are.
Liz plans to attend medical school. Her experience helping seniors navigate the healthcare system, she believes, will make her a better doctor. As for her spiritual life, she grew up Lutheran and Mormon and says she struggles with Catholic dogma.
Like, I definitely believe in something, and that's like much deeper this year, but I still think I'm still in my process of finding out like maybe which like religious tradition helps me live that out the most truly. But I'm in love with the like Jesuit idea of social justice and that like liberation theology of like seeing God in the people we serve, and like that I really identify with. So I think I'm working through where all those pieces fit within me and like where they find a home.
There's a lot of wonder in this year. There's a lot of thinking, and I've seen the fruits of it 5, 10, 15 years after the volunteer experience. That's what I mean, ruined for life. They live their life in a different way.
Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, amen. Bless us, our Lord, for these thy gifts which we are about to receive from thy bounty through Christ our Lord, amen.
Have they been ruined for life? Most would say yes, and they credit not only their work, but each other.
Coming into JVC, I was very rigid, and like, you know, I go to Mass like every day, and like I pray the Rosary and the Divine Mercy, and that's really like very narrow-minded on like where God is and like how to pray and all that stuff. And they've really showed me like all these different things, like how to meditate or how to like see God in nature or see God in like all these different things.
This year I've like really come to appreciate like Jill, one of my roommates, is so pious, and like I think without knowing her, maybe in the past I wouldn't have understood the beauty of that the way I do now.
We could do the swing. Come on, let's go.
As their faith has deepened, their goals have changed.
I think I've just grown up in so many ways, and I think I've changed the way that I'll be a nurse forever.
For Religion and Ethics News Weekly, I'm Deborah Potter in Scranton, Pennsylvania.